As many of you have seen in my recent video, I had major concerns for the Elemental Shaman, and I went out and experimented for hours, multiple solo shuffles, multiple duels on the beta in order to finally concoct and construct a build that I found to be both strong and fun. My journey initially started with the lightning build. I really wanted a lightning build to work, but unfortunately it was very frustrating. I'm thinking that this build in PvP is only going to be viable when you can hit 6 or more targets, which is a very rare occurrence, if ever going to actually happen, unfortunately. But then I was able to fold in on this specific build of Elemental Shaman that's focused more around Lava Burst, and the Stone Bulwark Totem actually ends up being really powerful in this build with the ability to reset it on your baseline talent trees. I started starting fights with Stone Bulwark and then resetting it and getting a double Bulwark and getting this 2 million shield that was constantly refreshing, and it could basically soak the opening damage from almost any combination of classes. Now you can see the opening damage from this build is crazy. Paladin already just got rocked by our Ascendants, and our Farseer NS Lava Burst combo, it sends out a huge amount of damage. You're just gonna absolutely smoke people, and as it stands right now, like Arcane Mage, Shadow Priest, these are kind of like the top casters. So just immediately off of this first round, we were actually able to outpace and an Arcane Mage, and a lot of the shuffles before that, this build that I was playing felt really long and felt really painful, and it felt like it was taking a really long time in order to actually get anything going. But this build didn't have that problem. This build played more closely to the way that the Dragonflight build played, except that you have on-demand Ascendants, which felt absolutely fantastic in order to guarantee that you got burst in a particular moment in time. So we're immediately going to charge in again. Fire Elemental is down for our Maelstrom generation. Get Flame Shocks up. Root targets. Get into position. We pop Ascendants. We pop our Stone Bulwark Totem. We've reset. We got a 2 million shield that's starting to stack up. We got our Ellie Blast procs, and Lava Bursts are just flowing through. You can just see the amount of damage that's lobbing out from us as we're just going after the Holy Paladin in the back here, trying to punch the healer if they spam Dispel, because healers are still honestly doing that even in the War Within. So if they're going to take that Flame Shock Dispel damage, I also want to kind of focus fire them down and keep pressure on them as much as we can. And you can see our damage. We're keeping up pace with the Arcane Mage, which I would easily put on like the S tier category, which means that Ellie Shaman is going from major concerns to possibly overpowered here after figuring out and constructing this build. Our Stone Bulwarks soaked the opening pressure for the team, and now we've got Astral Shift if we need to later on. We're still focusing on just casting Lava Burst. The main reason for this is to try and proc our Frost Shocks to turn into Ice Fury, which gives us a huge amount of burst. We're going to Hex up the Shaman. There's the Ice Fury into multiple Frost Shocks, Lava Burst coming through, and it's nice with this build because if you get kicked on the Lava Burst and you get this Ice Shock proc, you've basically got 3 globals you can spend while you're locked on fire. We get a nice another Ice Fury proc right here. We can lob out towards the Paladin. We're playing the new Bloodlust PvP talent that we got now from Enhancement Shamans as Ellie, so we can lust up our partner, get a bunch of haste, which is really helping out with the fact that our stats are much lower at the beginning. It was helping out with the proc rate. You can more guarantee that you're going to get some procs around your Primo wave if you can line it up with your heroism onto your ally. We're going to line of sight, knock the Paladin downstairs, try and get in a better position, but we're taking a lot of damage. We're going to Hex up the Mage, go after the healer in this position, try and lob out more and more Lava Bursts, keep trying to focus on procking into our Ice Furies and spending Earth Shocks accordingly. You need to really pay close attention though when you got your NS. You can see I've got it available here. We line it up with the Primo wave, but we get Searing Glared. So we're going to toss out some off heals while we're Searing Glared, refresh our Earth Shields, try and support because our warrior is absolutely not having a good time in a wizard lobby. Although this warrior, he seemed to be struggling a bit, so I wasn't sure if he knew exactly what he was doing as far as build is concerned, which is really important. When I was playing the wrong build, I did absolutely nothing on the bait. I was totally useless. If you didn't have the right talents, if you didn't have the right setup, the right gear, I think he forgot to buy enchants in this lobby, so it's a little bit skewed. We're kind of playing on hard mode for this round. We try and go after the Paladin here, but we get shut down onto our Lava Burst cast that would have likely KO'd him in this position. You need to be careful with using the Fire Elemental on cooldown activated here because it can get quite a low cooldown with the cooldown reduction that you've got in this build. We keep proccing Ice Furies. We're having a good time. It's basically like the Dragonflight build, except you're going to be using Ice Fury more instead of just only Lava Burst, but they are both mostly instant. But when you're in the position like this where you're not getting any procs, you can kind of force them with the Nature Swiftness from the Farseer, which the Stormbringer build just doesn't have. And the baseline Nature Swiftness doesn't give you an instant Lava Burst. It's only an instant Lightning spell. So I found particularly with the Lightning build that it was harder to weave lava bursts in appropriately in order to get Ice Fury. It just felt like you were doing your rotation in an inferior way to this current build, unfortunately. And the only times I really noticed that the damage from the lightning build was really good at all was like against Death Knight pets, and I could get like chain lightning overload procking like reactions onto their pets and like that. It's kind of similar to like a flame strike build for Fire Mage on Dragonflight, where you can, against certain pet classes, you can like AoE and get a bunch of damage out. But aside from that, it felt kind of lackluster. We're going into another round. We got the Warlock on our team. Fire Ellie's down. We've got this big opening. I love the double Stone Bulwark opener, especially because in Solo Shuffle, everyone pops their offensive cooldowns like 1 second into the game. So it just gives you this really nice soak where you don't have to just be running away immediately. You're really durable and you still hold on to valuable defensive cooldowns. This is the best way to make Stone Bulwark Totem get value. We still get Ancestral Guidance. We still get Astral Shift. And the on-demand Ascendance can make your opener really scary. We're going to run Spirit Walker's Grace Aura Mastery with this build because the proc rate's lower. And look at that damage just coming through. Look at the damage just coming through. They can't kick us. We're Aura Masteried with Ascendance. The Lava Bursts are flowing through. Our Warlock's free casting in the back. And I was actually surprised. Destruction seems to be doing pretty well even since the nerfs to their Overfiend. They're combining Chaos Bolts into Ruination, getting like these massive proc windows. And they're feeling, I wouldn't say that they're like S tier on Destro Lock, but definitely coming in at more of like a solid A tier position. This is why I'm really glad that the Qs started popping more, so I can start gaining more analytics as far as like the proficiency of all the specializations moving forward, because I'm really looking to start constructing some tier lists for you guys. So make sure to hit the sub button so you don't miss out on those. Now we've got the Mage Ellie, and this comp is really strong right now. Arcane mobility and survivability against non-purge, which this team has no purge, is really high. Got the double Stone Bulwark opener, and we're going to be taking up a ton of damage with this. The enemies are just running away, which can be a bit of a soft counter to this. You probably shouldn't just pop it immediately like I was in these positions, but we're going to pop Ascendance, and we're just going to lob out a ton of Lava Bursts. We get the shield immediately from the Warlock, and remember, the pacing of the game and the War Within at the moment, it is noticeably slower than Dragonflight, and with this build, I'm actually cutting through health bars, even with that slower pace, which is what's making me think that this build is likely going to be pretty competitive and pretty strong, at least at the moment here. We've got a Hammer of Justice on the Monk. I'm looking to try and get a Hex out of that. With no add-ons, it can be really tough to track the DRs, but we got CC coming through, and that gets Trinket Life Cocoon. So we're going to swap over to the Shaman. We got that Ellie Blast proc from our Elemental Fusion with our Frost Shocks and that Ice Fury, and look how much damage it does. We just chopped him down to half health. He's running for the woods, trying to escape behind the pillar, and we just swapped right back to the Warrior, and he's immediately getting cracked. We've got our Nature Swiftness. We use our Gift of the Naru here. I don't know why I'm playing Draenei, but Gift of the Naru, a nice little just midway point to segue into our cooldowns. You get a double root. We reposition. We pull them out in the open. We get the Monk into a position where our Mage can more easily sheep them. We go for a stun over onto the Warrior. Fire Elemental is back into the fray, and our damage is going to start ramping up here. Primordial Wave. Missiles coming through. You ain't surviving. Look at that DPS. Absolutely crushing it. And you can see in this round in particular that I think the Warrior was definitely struggling in this lobby, but the Mage was performing well, and the Warlock was performing well at a level where I feel like we can kind of get more proper data. I think the healers are doing a good job as well. Holy Paladin with this Holy Shock build, I mean, look at the Holy Paladin's damage, 6.66 million, more than the Warrior. I feel like they're giving a lot of healers a lot more damage actually in this expansion, which is going to be really good as far as making it feel like healers have more output as far as like the outcome of a match. I think like healer damage difference can definitely feel good when you're outpacing the other healer in terms of DPS and keeping your team alive at the same time. It starts building a huge lead for you. We got the Fire Elemental down. We're getting dots up onto the Warrior. I think this time I don't pop Stone Bulwark Totem immediately. I want to make sure that I'm actually getting attacked because the duration isn't limitless in this position. Keep maintaining the Flame Shocks. We got the Primo Wave. We've got our Ascendance available. We've got the NS coming up. We got an Ascendance proc on that instant cast Lava Burst, and we get stunned. We're going to trinket it Ascendance, but we get feared and we get punished. I'm playing really YOLO with this build just because it's super fun when all the lava bursts light up at the same time, and I just want to go crazy and pop my cooldowns on the beta and see how much damage I can get out. Obviously, you would not play this eager in an absolute competitive environment where you're trying to make sure you're min-maxing. We got our Aura Mastery, which feels really nice with the Spirit Walker's Grace. Would highly recommend advancing your build. I'll have a screenshot of the build here linked at the end of the video as well if you're curious to see what exactly I'm running with the talents for this if you're playing it on the beta. We're in a gateway back upstairs. Lava Bursts are still flowing through with the Spirit Walker's Grace. Flame Shocks are up on all 3 targets. We've got our Nature Swiftness coming through. We're weaving our Earth Shocks in, and now with our NS available, the next time we get a Lava Burst off cooldown, we're gonna be able to do a lot of damage with it. So maintain our Flame Shocks, get into position. Warlock standing in a good spot out in the open. So I'm going to start pushing towards the Monk, I believe. Actually, the Monk just comes in on his own, so we can knock him out into the open. We get put into a sheep, but as the caster in PvP, when you're not getting attacked, you typically want to be the aggressor on top of the enemy healer. and trying to force them into the game, because the person getting attacked, they're dealing with the most interrupts and stuns, and they're going to die if they push on top of